Don't get me wrong, I don't regret for one single second having been a stay-at-home mom. I loved that life. What I do regret is what it did to my career. Now, becoming a stay-at-home mom, that was something that we didn't just go into lightly. It was something that my then husband and I talked about a lot. Should I stay home? We went over the cost of everything, how much it was going to be to work, gas, insurance, clothing, and childcare. He was doing pretty well by then. It was a decision that we made that I became a stay-at-home mom. It wasn't easy either. We switched up a lot of things. I made a lot more stuff at home. We rarely went out for a while. I don't regret that decision to be a stay-at-home mom. Those have so many happy memories. What it did to my career, and when I tried to get back into working, which I had to get back into working, what that did. I didn't realize was that over the 12 years that I was a stay-at-home mom, how much technology had changed. I knew basic stuff for computers. I had one. I was a stay-at-home mom from 1998 to oh my gosh, whatever 12 years is with that one. But then I was still mostly staying at home for the entire time my kids were in school until the time where I turned around 50. That's when I needed to do something a little bit more. And everything had changed. So many things had changed by then. I knew how to do basic stuff. Returning back into the workforce was huge. It was humbling to sit down and fill out my resume. Now, granted, I had done a few things during those years. I was always helping out at school. I was a Girl Scout leader from the time my youngest was in kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. I've spent several years working part-time as they got older when they were in high school as a archery coach, and I absolutely loved doing that. That was very, very part-time. I had something to put on my resume. The big stuff, the stuff that it seemed that everyone wanted to make matter, I didn't have that, and I wasn't sure where to go from there. If we back up, back when I was in my 20s, I went to school and for a 2-year program to become an X-ray tech. I enjoyed being an X-ray tech. It was pretty good. I knew that there was a career there. That's when we decided to stay home. Becoming and being an X-ray tech and going back into it, any of those things, if you know about this, there are continuing education points. I didn't keep up with that. I felt no reason to keep up with it. If I would have known now, I probably would have done things differently. By around the time I turned 30, I had my first kid. That was huge. I couldn't go back into that. I was kind of lost in what was I going to do next? What could I do? Where could I go? Because I really didn't have that much experience doing stuff. Oh yeah, I could get jobs being a cashier somewhere. I knew my skills were more than that. Even when I was working for the county teaching archery, the computers there, their system really confused me because it's something that I had grown out of. That's not something I used at home. I did a little bit of Word at home. I did a little bit of Excel at home, just stuff to keep myself accountable to what I was doing a little fun stuff. My kids taught me things. Out in the real world, that was a whole different thing. Technology changes very quickly. If you don't keep up, you might feel like me. You might feel a little bit left behind. The financial aspect of all of this, all these years later, it's lasting because think about little things. I don't have a 401k. I don't have that from a company. I have a big gap in payments to the government. When I get my retirement from them or when I get to Social Security, I have several years missing. That's huge. I want to think about retiring. I can't personally think about retiring because it's just not going to happen. I have to have money coming in. Being without a job and being a stay-at-home mom and having no income, the financial part of it, that's pretty big for me right now. Another part is the whole emotional side of it. I felt out of touch. I would be working with people. I loved being a Girl Scout leader. I loved being archery instructor. When other parents were talking about their jobs or doing something, I was listening. I was there. I was listening. I didn't know how to interact with that. So I just kind of listened. Now, if I were to do it differently, if I were to be able to go back and tell myself, I would definitely change a few things. I would have found something that would have kept me in there, maybe working 1 day a week, doing something, I'm not sure what. I would also look into figuring out a 401k for me, or a Roth IRA or something like that. That would help. That would probably be a good thing. When I take stock of my skills now, as when I did 7 years ago trying to get another job, was that I had a lot of skills from being at home and from running a Girl Scout troop. Those skills were, oh my gosh, they were time management, they were relationship building, they were budgeting, conflict resolution, doing a multitude of things at the same time. Typical mom stuff. If you're young and you're a stay-at-home mom, you're enjoying that life, joy every single second of it. I wouldn't change that aspect of it whatsoever. I loved being there for my kids. I loved enjoying all the different activities that we did. You have to protect yourself. You have to figure out what's going to happen. By meaning, you have to think about it this way of, what if something happens? Not that anything will happen, but what if something happens? What if your spouse, your partner has something going on? What if they get fired? What if somebody gets sick? What if, in my case, you get divorced? All of your dreams were to be married to this one person. During retirement, things would be a little bit different when the kids were done. Yeah, what are you going to do then? When I turned 50, I had to reinvent myself. I was divorced. I needed to have some better money coming in. I was already selling stuff on eBay. That was going great. I was selling on Amazon too. That was going really well. I did a lot of stuff out of my house. Then COVID happened. With COVID and everyone being home, after a little while, everyone and their brother, as they say, decided that they could sell online. My profits almost plummeted. I went from, it was like I'm trying to remember what it was. My profits just went down. I was still spending the same amount of time doing it. That really hurt. That's when I knew that I needed to change something. I had gone through a whole health change. I had lost a lot of weight. I had people saying, why don't you become a personal trainer? Why don't you show other people how to do this? So I did. In my early 50s, I became a personal trainer. I absolutely loved being a personal trainer. That's not consistent. I worked in a couple of gyms. I loved being with my clients. I loved working out. I loved bringing that to other people. I loved mobility stuff. It was not consistent. It didn't stay consistent. So I had to do something else. That, of course, led into being a manager of a place that, if you saw my last video, I got fired from 3 weeks ago. Now I'm at the place again where I'm starting over. Not really from scratch, but trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I have a much better resume with me. Now, my closing thought is that if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're thinking about the future, what's going to happen, what should you do? Should you be a stay-at-home mom? Find something little that you can bring in money. Figure out a way that it keeps you within the workforce, whether it's doing something online, whether you could be volunteering, whether you have a side job somewhere. Know that the world can change really quickly. Your marriage can change really quickly. Your circumstances can change really quickly. When you're used to living a life where you've got someone who's the major breadwinner and everything is great, and then all of a sudden everything's on you, finding a job is difficult. Enjoy every single second that you have, but kind of look at the future and see where that's going to be.